Everyone, and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a new video. Today I'm super excited to be off to the launch of Hello Dolly the musical, which of course opens at the London Palladium this summer, starring the amazing Imelda Staunton. And today I've luckily enough been invited to see her talk with Dominic Cooke, the director, in an exclusive launch for the show. So without further ado, let's head to the London Palladium to see Imelda Staunton and Dominic Cooke in conversation all about Hello Dolly this summer. I can't wait. Let's go. Lovely. Very nice.
And to talk about Hello Dolly, a production that is close to so many people's hearts here, and a long postponed production, of course, that we did plan to open at the Adelphi in 2020. Oh, what happened then? But I think the theatrical gods have looked upon us, and we're here in this fantastic theatre with this fantastic production. To do a show like Dolly, you know, you need a director with a great vision, and you need somebody who can play Dolly Levi, and we're blessed that we're able to work with the brilliant Dominic Cooke and Imelda Staunton, who are going to talk to you in more detail about the show today, and the opportunity at the end to ask any questions. So welcome everybody. It's a very small but beautiful gathering, and Imelda and Dominic Cooke.
That's it, you won't see me now, look. Who thought of this chair? Well, that's weird. I feel I was
stand
here.
up?
I think we should, because it's just things off we go.
Good idea. So, what's it like being in this building right now?
Well, it's sort of, it is exciting. And of course, I suppose, not for most of you, but some of you might remember Sunday night at the London Palladium, which I used to watch as a child. So to be on that stage where all those extraordinary performers have given us such amazing songs and acts and all that, it's pretty special. Because I can't fill my head with that, because then I won't be able to set foot on the stage. So I just have to go, I have to keep that at the back of my head. But you know, to have this iconic building with, let's hope, an iconic show, it seemed a perfect match to me. And we were just showing the auditorium. It really suits this period of play and musical, and just the design that we're going to have, and the period. So it's a perfect theatre, I think, for this show.
Yeah.
So
you must have seen stuff here over the years.
Do you know, I saw Josephine Baker here.
Oh, did you?
You see, look, some of you are completely blank. But Josephine Baker and Bing Crosby. And I have to say, with Bing Crosby, people were singing, I was furious. I thought, well, I haven't paid to hear you sing, I paid to hear him sing. So, so that's in the 70s.
Now people are punching each other.
So that's who I saw, and then Roger Daltrey.
Right.
Yes. But this is an iconic building, and it's been revived by the work that Michael's done, and by a beautiful sort of refurb. So to embrace it and to be here, to be giving hopefully a totally joyful evening is going to be. That's my task, and I'm looking forward to it.
And well, of course, this is a show, as Michael said, with a very long gestation period, probably the longest that I've ever had, because we were ready to do it in 2020. And in fact, the very last thing I did professionally before the lockdown was showing you the model. We were going to be at the Adelphi. We'd already done, it was fully cast. We were really ready to go. It's a couple of months away from going.
Yeah.
That was a strange moment.
It was a very strange moment.
Yeah.
I do remember, I was looking at the model, and I absolutely felt so strongly. I thought, this is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I went away and I thought, this is a very weird, well, as we all know, it was a very weird time, but that was particularly weird, because looking at it, trying to be enthusiastic, but then going, but it's not going to happen. So Yeah.
And what's it been like sitting? Because obviously you've been doing other things, right, in between now and then. What's it been like? I mean, what's it been like sort of holding that, the thought of doing the show and through that time, and
Yes.
now coming back to it?
I know it was comforting and weird.
Yeah.
I had to put it, as you said, to the back because I had another person to inhabit, but to be coming to something that's interesting because doing The Crown was very serious and challenging and quite sad, and now to be really embracing something that is really joyful and really funny.
Yeah.
It's a funny play.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you can have the songs out. It's really funny.
Yeah.
So and I thought, Imelda, when was the last time you did something that was funny? And that was quite a long time ago. So I'm really loving sort of every day. I'm going through it in my head, and I'm really loving hearing those words and hearing that music. And actually, it's sort of helping build it for me.
Yeah, it's the lovely thing to be able to offer something that's about sort of coming back to life at this time. We're still sort of, I feel like we're still sort of struggling our way out of COVID in a way, not quite out of it. And we really need those sort of regenerative stories, and I've always loved the way this show does that.
Yeah. Because this was this was your idea.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's my fault.
I mean, I said, why do you want to? I know. I did say, why do you want to do it? Because I mean, the musicals I've done, the women are all mad. And that, you know, I quite like that. You know, whether it's Sweeney Todd, whether it's Gypsy, these women are possessed, and this woman hasn't got that sort of anger and despair.
Yeah.
So
Well, I tell you what, because I loved working with Imelda. We've known each other for a while. I loved working with Imelda on Follies, which we did in 2017 at the National. And at the end, I sort of said, I think you should do Dolly next. Not necessarily putting my hat in the ring, but I did say that. And we had begun a conversation. And I also mentioned it to Michael over here, in sort of passing, but he just jumped on it. Next thing I know, we're doing it. But I think the thing is, I grew up with the film soundtrack. I have seen it on stage, but I grew up with the film soundtrack. It's one of those things that my parents had, and I knew the music inside out. And I sort of have always, it's been one of those things that I've always sort of sat in the train and gone, I'd really like to do that one day. And I think it's because I sort of could see that under the joy, and it is an incredibly joyful, positive show with wonderful music, as you say, brilliant comic dialogue. There's a sort of like, I sort of believe any classic musical's got a sort of serious heart to it. I just sort of think anything, if you think about Will Rogers and Hammerstein shows, or the great shows, or Guys and Dolls, there's something at the heart that sustains it. If it didn't have that, it wouldn't last. And I sort of feel the same with Dolly, that this thing about what happens into your life. If you lose someone, which is what's happened prior to the beginning of the show, Dolly's lost her husband, and so is everyone, all the protagonists in the show sort of had a sadness in the background, and they're deciding to go back into life again, which is not easy. And I just sort of wanted to do something which showed and celebrated that, and as it turned out, actually that's landed better now than it would have done in 2020, because we all know about what it's like to sort of step back into the world and all of that. So that was the thought, which is not to say that it won't have all the joy I hope that previous productions have had, but that was my sort of way in.
Yeah.
I think directors often sort of sit around thinking about things they might do one day, and this is one of the ones I like it's happened. Yeah. And then, of course, when we were doing the original plans in 2019, leading up to it and getting it all ready, we decided we wanted to use the opening number from the movie, which was written specifically for the movie, rather than the opening number for the stage show. And I've noticed this, sometimes if artists go back to the original text, if they're doing something for the movies that they did on stage, they re-look at it and they go, oh, maybe this would work. And they wrote, I think, a brilliant song called Just Leave Everything to Me. And we both felt that would be a great way to launch the show, because it sort of sets everything out so fantastic about this character and what she's about and what she wants to do. So we decided we would ask Jerry Herman, who was fortunately still with us at that time, whether he would allow it. So
we didn't know, how are we going to do that? And sometimes I think, as we all know, emails and things, it doesn't have the personal touch. So I said, well, look, why don't I phone him? Why don't I try and phone him? And so we fixed that up, and I was filming in Eastbourne, and there I was in my room, speaking to Jerry Herman. And now, years and years and years ago, I did Mac and Mabel, which is also the show he wrote back in the 80s in Nottingham with wonderful Dennis Quilley. I'd had, you know, our director had had relationship with him. So anyway, chatting to him on the phone, of course, you know, how do you say someone, right, I want to change the beginning of this show that you run, and we want to do this. So I was as delicate as I could be, and of course I would be. I have such respect and that for him. So he was so charming, and I sort of put it forward that I just wanted to add another one of his brilliant songs into his already brilliant show. That's what it was. We're not taking it out, we're just adding to it. And he was, you know, he was so disarming in a way. He just said, well, if that's what you want to do, that's what you must do. So I said, well, are you absolutely sure? Because I said, I can be a bit sort of forceful, but I said, I don't, you know, I'm just asking because we care about it and we want to do the best it can be. I know you've already had it, the show works, we don't have to prove anything, the show works, but could we just add another level, which is your level? We're not asking to put a Beyonce song in. I could do that if I had to. So, you know, it was total mutual respect on both our parts, and he very, very generously agreed, and that was so nice.
Yeah.
I felt so privileged to have had that moment with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's great we had that.
And so I was on the phone to, okay, I think you said yes, I think you said yes.
Yeah, and of course the show is based on it's actually based, there are like sort of 4 plays that have different generations that led to this show. But the big one is Staunton Wilde, who wrote The Matchmaker, who is a great American playwright and was very serious about comedy. He took comedy seriously, because there is a snobbery about comedy, which I can't stand. Comedy is a really important form, it's joyful, it brings people together, it makes audiences listen, and it's fun. But he was very serious he took comedy seriously. So a lot of this show, it's a bit like the way that My Fair Lady relates to Pygmalion. This has a similar relationship to The Matchmaker. A lot of the dialogue is from The Matchmaker. There are structural differences, but all the key characters. And he's the one that invented Dolly Levi. And so the other thing we've done is that we've sort of gone back a bit to The Matchmaker, and there's not much, there's just a few tweaky lines that we're bringing in, a little bit of extra stuff, which we're doing, I don't know, just in response to this approach we're taking to the show, bringing it to a new audience, rethinking the show a bit. And we just got approval from Michael Stewart's fabulous sister, Francine, who's still around, who controls the estate, to just authorise us to do that. And it's very much a thing of now, I think, that we're doing. I think it's great. We think back to Oklahoma last year. People are able to go, this is a fantastic piece of classic work that we take as seriously as we take Arthur Miller, right? We're taking that seriously. And we can reinvent it. For this moment, it'll be a different show. You know, if someone does it 20 years' time, it'll be different. And it's great that both sides have sort of gone to us, yes, we're backing you. Because we are respectful of what was there. We're not saying, you know, there's anything wrong with what went before, but it's just keeping things alive, you know, for now, keeping a show for the audience now in London.
And I suppose the film, when was that, in the 70s?
It was 60s, yeah.
Late 60s.
Yeah,
but
I think it was 64.
So it had already been on in Broadway. So of course, you know, Barbara Streisand was, you know, 40 years too young, but she was Barbara Streisand and was brilliant. So it was just a different, that was a very different piece of work.
Yeah.
So it's possible to have the kernel of something and just take it into different places, staying true to what it is at the very centre.
That's right, yeah. And I'm actually speaking to Staunton Wilder's son on Zoom, I told you that, on Friday. When their plays or original texts are turned into musicals, or other forms are a bit sort of, I don't know how to do that. He went every single week when Dolly was on Broadway to see it.
Thornton Wilder?
Yeah, he loved it. Because I think he recognised that it was absolutely true to the spirit of what he was doing, the heart of it. So it's a nice sort of trajectory way back into the original form of it. So you haven't been on stage for a while?
No, I don't think have I? No, I mean we just followed, and then during COVID actually did Talking Heads.
Of course you did. It was brilliant.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that was
So
your last gig on stage.
But
And you're such a hard worker, Imelda. You're the hardest working actor I've ever worked with, which is a wonderful thing. And so you're sort of getting yourself ready now.
Oh God, yeah. I'm doing it for years. Yes, I have to, I suppose. I just have to have it in the back of my mind. I mean, I go and talk to drama students and stuff, and I say, look, the public say, well, how do you learn everything? Well, you just go, that's the least of our problems. Anyone can say something, learn it and just say it. It's what you're feeling when you're saying it. It's what you want to, how you want it to be, to affect someone when you say it. So it's all the stuff that's underneath. So, so then if I am learning it and thinking about it and reading it every day, it just sort of settles on your body. So then when you get to the rehearsal room, you've got room to play and you've got room to invent, and that just makes me feel a tiniest bit safer. So that's
great. Because you want your rehearsal room to be alive and new things can happen. And we have a brilliant cast. A lot of the cast stayed with us from 2019. The ones who haven't just had other things that they'd already committed to. But it's a brilliant cast. And it's about 40, isn't it? It's 40 people, it's big. But then that's a huge stage, and you need, a huge sort of production. And we have got. I mean, I was just saying to Imelda that Follies was like a monologue compared to this.
That was quite big.
That was quite big. That was a big show.
Yeah.
This is because the demands. This was produced at the sort of height originally. That's sort of height of Broadway, the Broadway musical, and they threw a lot at the shows, and Michael has supported us to deliver that. So it is a lot of sets and a lot of costumes.
Yes, we can't do this with 2 chairs and a polo next to it. So maybe they'll do that further down the line. Maybe when it's on tour we'll do that. But you want it to be. Look at this room. There's a place in it called Harmonia Gardens, and it's the most wonderful restaurant. People want to be. So that's what this show is sort of this. And with everything that Dominic and I, we are. I love the serious side of work. I want to get what people are going through, and then all the other stuff on top it's already there. But our job is to get the stuff that makes the top work.
That's right.
Because if the top has nothing underneath, it is empty.
Yeah, and audiences want that now.
Yeah.
I think they want, I'm hoping if we can get it right, it could be very moving, because I personally find the idea of someone having the courage after their life has fallen apart to go, I'm going back out there. I actually find that, maybe it's my age, I find that quite moving, as well as funny. So I agree with you, I think the two things can work together. And comedy is a craft. It is a, one of the things I've noticed with comedy is that the last week of rehearsals gets quite tense.
No one's laughing. No one's laughing at you.
No,
you're doing it. It's hilarious, and then it's just like that.
Yeah, and then it's just it sort of feels like they're in this void. Why am I doing this? And then, of course, as soon as you get it in front of an audience, you remember. And then there's a wonderful bit in previous where you're crafting all of that, because I love and it's very much the world of the Palladium actually, where jokes are set up and then paid off. Where does the idea come from? Where does it go to? Where does it pay off? And that's what audiences are following and tracking. So it's a real exercise in ensemble acting, because you can't get a laugh unless everyone's working together. A laugh is never down to one person; it's down to a group of people. And literally, I've seen it happen. If someone moves on the far side of the stage while the setup's being done, they won't get the joke. So you have to sort of that comes later in the process, but it's a joyful thing, because this has some very sharp comic writing in it. So we're about a month away now, so everything's moving. We've got sets being planned and bought and made, and we've got costumes underway, we've got actors
in rehearsal rooms trying to change the key. So it's a long it's interesting, but I don't know, who are all you people anyway? I think, being in a rehearsal room. Funny, there was an article in a newspaper a couple of weekends ago about rehearsal rooms, and they are very sort of private and sort of quite sacred in a way, without being too poncy about it. But a rehearsal room, you are vulnerable, and being vulnerable is you have to be vulnerable in order to shift, in order to you've got to make a fool of yourself, in order to get up and go, oh, that was rubbish, so let's try that again. So it's funny, you know, if anyone out of our thing comes into the room, everyone knows immediately. That's how sort of, in a way, hypersensitive we all are. So people aren't often allowed in, you know, to watch that. But it's a wonderful space and a very sort of, you know, it's lovely and safe because everyone, you make mistakes, and that's how things change and how things get better, by making mistakes. But so, you know, people on the outside don't have access to what we're sort of going through. And in a way, it might be pretty bloody dull watching it. People struggling to find something. But it's a wonderful process to be part of.
And this show has, because of the scale of it, because of the time, 4-year gap, actually has had I think we've improved our thinking on the show, actually, in that time. There are things I was going to do in 2019, 2020 that I'm not doing now, and new things, because we've really had the time to sort of go, okay, let's look at that version of what we're going to do then in a different theatre, and it's sort of been actually a strange sort of gift. But even if we didn't have that 4-year gap, doing a show this scale, there's so much preparation that goes on before rehearsal. I mean, really a lot. It's like I've done film, and it reminds me of doing a film where you have to get everything lined up. So there's, I mean, to allow that, what you're describing, to allow the space in rehearsal to be as free and open as possible, you sort of have to get all the parameters sort of set up. And that, it has been a really joyful process. It's about a great team of people. Everyone's really sort of excited about what we're doing and contributing really brilliantly. It's been a great
So it's not a scramble, because I mean, as you know, even
Yeah.
you know, with anything, telly, film,
Yeah.
we haven't got enough time, or in some rehearsal, we haven't got enough. You think, we've had 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, you think, oh, we're not ready. You better be ready.
No excuses annoying.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
Are you? That's terribly unusual.
Very unusual, yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
sort of running with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Using it
And
to-
we're still sort of, no, I mean, I'm spending an awful lot of time in Michael's office, sort of going in, meeting with people still now, just trying to work out little changes, and do we do this and should we change that? It's lovely, I like it very much, but it's quite a big ramp into rehearsal.
Yeah.
Are there any questions that we'd like to ask? Yes.
Hi, Imelda.
Hello.
So you mentioned you're singing a song that was written for Barbara Streisand. You're doing a show that Bette Midler did on Broadway. Countless people have done it. How are you going to make it your own, and are you nervous?
Listen, when I did Gypsy, I had a lot of back. You know, of course, you're aware of all of that, and of course you get oh my God. Then you have to get rid of that and go, I'm looking at this script today. I'm learning these songs today. Yes, I've been listening to other people singing them, and then there comes a point where you just can't. I can't listen to them anymore. You go, right, I have to start doing it. And nerves again. Nerves are adrenaline, and adrenaline, you need that. You need sort of, oh, I can't. Of course, I'm in my room. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do this. That's part of how you do it. It's doubting yourself in a healthy way, or just going, and also you care so much. You know, there are so many people relying on you and on it, and of course, but then you go, that's useful, but you go over there for a minute, because I've got to get on with what I have to do now, which is learning music, changing keys, whatever, doing all that. So that's all in the mix, but it has to sit in the right place, otherwise it's useless. Too much of, oh my God, that's no use to anyone. So it's hopefully I'm getting to that place.
I think it's sort of like, I mean, I can't speak for you, but I think it's like approaching a classic role in sort of Shakespeare or something like that. In that, you know, if you do a Hamlet or a Rosalind or whatever, there's a lot of great people that have done it before. And, you know, everyone has their own approach. Some people watch everything and look at all the other choices. Other people don't want to go near it. But I think in the end, when you're in that room, you're just bringing yourself to it and investigating it, and it will always be new.
Yeah.
I love that line in Stephen Sondheim's Song in the Park, George, let it come from you, then it will be new. I really believe in that.
Yeah.
I sort of think sometimes too much sort of self-conscious attempt to be different can get in the way. That if you bring yourself 100% to what you're doing, it will have a new life. I'm absolutely sure it will. Yeah, it's always daunting doing something people have done before.
But mind you, I suppose it hasn't been done for about 40 years.
That's right. Yeah, there was one at the park, which Sammy Spiro did,
Yeah.
which I saw and really enjoyed.
Yeah.
But in terms of the West End, the last one was down in Nauru, which was
Okay.
in the 80s. We worked out, yeah.
And then that was the same with Gypsy, having been done. For
Yeah,
40 years.
right.
So it's
Yeah.
nice bringing an old musical to a new audience.
Yeah.
And you know, I used to wonder why people came to Gypsy, because I thought, you know, Hello Dolly has got something everyone about it. Or is it that song? Or is it that? Someone said to me, "Are you playing Dolly Parton?" I'm flattered. Oh, come on. Come on. Next year, isn't it? So bringing an old show to a new audience, and actually for them to really embrace it, you know, was great with Gypsy, and I think that will work here as well, because it's, you know, a good story will work anywhere.
There's something universal about a good story, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just also, this is not a proverbial question, but I do feel now, it took us a while to come out of COVID in terms of audiences, but I feel there's a buoyancy now in theatre in terms of, I know there are lots of issues financially, and as I said all that, but in the relationship with the audiences and performers, there's such an appetite for great live theatre at the moment. Really feel it and a hunger for it, so I sort of feel that we've landed at the right point in that regard too.
What's the one big change that you'd like to see happen in the industry?
Well, I mean, I think our history is theatre. America's history is film. And I think the West End has recovered remarkably well, and the other theatres around London. My fear is for the theatres outside London. And I want them to be helped. And I want them to get back to their glory days. I mean, we can't, you know, my beginning was 6 years in repertory theatre going all over the country. That doesn't exist anymore. Okay. So what do? Those towns still have theatres. And, you know, we know that art can't probably put food on your table, but it can, you know, it feeds you in a different way. And I think we desperately need it, because that's the country we are. I mean, arts and culture, we do that really well. And so I think the London theatres are doing very well, and I just think outside London needs to be given a helping hand.
So councils?
Council, oh yes, of course. Councils, because, you know, you can't argue, you know, that hospital is closing, should we keep the theatre open? I know, they're different things. We need them both. One shouldn't be at the expense of the other.
It's true, you wouldn't say, oh, let's close down a park, because, you know, we think there are certain things that the state provides which are about quality of life, and I really believe in culture in that way. And I started in regional theatre too. I worked at Nottingham, Bolton, you know, a lot of different regional theatres, and I feel like I've seen the power of a really well-run regional theatre and the effect it has on its city, and the conversation that goes on, the ownership the local community can feel. It's fantastic. When I was working in Nottingham, the exchange between the audience and what we were doing was just brilliant, unlike anything else. It's great. Yes.
You talk about having played mad women in musicals of recent years, but I remember 30 years ago you unlocked Miss Adelaide at the National Theatre, really exploring the tragicomedy of her role. So you've shown that you can do it brilliantly. What is the secret to that mix of comedy and a bit of tragedy in character on a Broadway show?
Well, it's no accident, is it, that a lot of comedians or clowns in the old days were quite sad people. You know, comedy and tragedy are very closely linked, I think, and I don't think you can have one without the other, actually. And therefore, if you're lucky enough to have a great script that has both, that's a start. And then your job is to investigate the deeper level of that, the comedy or the tragedy. But all our lives have all of that. It's normal. And you know, when in plays when it's a really tragic moment, and people are laughing because it's a reaction. You can't believe that someone is going through something. You can't believe they're handling it that well. You can't believe that they can laugh about something that terrible has just happened. So it's, you know, a good play, comedy tragedy is life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, yes, you had mentioned about embodying characters. What is it like with that process on stage versus on screen?
Oh, that's good. Well, of course, on stage you're having to do it every night. If you're doing a long thing on film, of course, you're repeating it in the day. But it's a different type of energy, and a musical again is another level of energy because it's stamina, it's all those things. And with everything, it's to do with the truth. It doesn't matter how loud you can sing. If I don't believe you, it doesn't mean anything. And that's, I'm always trying to, again, when I talk to students, I say, look, a song is just a speech to a different tune. So it's just always about the truth. It's always about the story that you are part of as well. And I'm a great believer in that on a film set. I mean, you could all be here, we're doing a scene, but I'm just doing a scene here with Dominic, but you're all making that scene happen. I'm on camera, but I can't do, if I'm doing it and the lighting guy can't see me, there's no point. So I have to help that lighting person as well. So it's your job, I always feel, it's my job to make sure that we are all telling the story. It's not one person's story. And Hello Dolly, yes, but it's everyone. So I think that I've always found that's important as well.
On that note, we're going to, that's a very good note.
Is that the end?
That is the end.
That's the end! We're just getting going. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for great questions and for being here. Please come back and see us in the summer.
Can we have a picture closer together?
Yes, of course. I know we're very far apart, aren't we?
I do actually quite like it. These are going to be, it's going to be a Christmas card. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Woo! So I just got home from the very special Imelda Staunton and Dominic Cooke Hello Dolly launch at the London Palladium. I really enjoyed hearing from them both, and I can't wait to see this when it opens in July at the Palladium. It's running from the 6th of July till the 14th of September, and I'll link all of the ticket info below. There's also a very special ticket deal for 16 to 25-year-olds, so be sure to check that out. That's an absolute steal. Unfortunately, I'm not eligible, but I was lucky enough to be there today, and I can't wait to see the show when it opens. Honestly, Imelda Staunton in Gypsy was one of the best female performances I've ever seen from a musical theatre performer. It was next level, and I am so excited to see her take on the iconic role in Hello Dolly. I'm very, very excited. It's going to be incredible. I just know it. I just got overall amazing vibes from today, and we also got the most adorable bags with a shiny Hello Dolly logo on, and then inside we've also got chocolate and a notebook, which is also gold branded, which is very, very cool. I'm hoping there's going to be lots more exciting content to come. So if you did enjoy this, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm super close to 10k subscribers, and I'd be so grateful if you can subscribe. I really, really, really appreciate you watching this. So be sure to go and check out Hello Dolly at the London Palladium this summer, starring Imelda Staunton, directed by the amazing Dominic Cooke. I really enjoyed today. It was very, very special, and I really appreciate you watching this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!